What is going on, guys? This is Crowzen, and welcome back to another Monster Hunter Wilds build. This time we have the longsword dragon build. So elemental damage in this game really isn't on par with the status builds like paralysis, blast, and poison. However, I really wanted to make a dragon build centered around the longsword. I mean, just look at those red slashing visuals. How can you not be satisfied whenever you're playing a longsword as a dragon element? So I went ahead and optimized this build not only for the dragon element, but also for a lot of those nice longsword skills that you're going to need in order to play the longsword effectively. So let's take a look at the build. So beginning with our Ardian weapon, I went for 3 attack infusions for the production bonus, and as for the reinforcement bonus, I recommend at least 1 sharpness boost, and if you can, preferably have 4 attack bonuses here, but if you do get some element rolls as well, you can still go with those, but ideally, your main reinforcement bonuses that you want here will be 4 attack with 1 sharpness. As far as the decorations, we're going to go with the Dragon Critical Element Jewel, as well as the Mastery Jewel, that way we don't really have to worry too much about sharpness, and then the Critical Jewel for some nice critical boost damage. So as far as weapon availability prior to crafting your Ardian weapon, you don't really have any for dragons since they're so late in the game anyway with the Guardian Arkveld or the Arkveld tree. You also have the Gore Magala tree, which is also kind of late. So I would just recommend going with the Lala Barina tree, and that way you can also have paralysis early on in the game. For the armor set, we're going to go with all beast set pieces, so the Gore Helm, the Arc Vulcan Mail, the Guardian Folger Vambraces, the Arc Vulcan Coil, and the Gore Greaves. And then for our talisman, we're going to go with the Exploiter Charm 2 for 2 levels in Weakness Exploit. For the decorations, we're going to go with 1 Challenger Jewel, that way we can have 1 level in Agitator, also 2 Sane Jewels for level 3 in Antivirus, 1 Counterattack Jewel for Adrenaline Rush, which is easily activated by our moveset, Counter Jewel, that way we can get 1 level in Counter Strike. You also want to make sure that you have 2 Mighty Jewels, that'll get you up to level 3 in Maximum Might for 30% affinity boost. And then you also want to have 3 Sheath Jewels, and then also 1 Chain Jewel for 1 level in Burst. So now we could go over some combat tips for the longsword, and the longsword really only has one main objective, and that is getting your spirit gauge to red as soon as possible. Now the main way they'll tell you to fill up the spirit gauge is by doing that Y combo into right trigger. However, if you do plan on doing this combination takes so long that in most cases the monster is just going to knock you back, and so you never want to go ahead and do that combination to level up your spirit gauge. Instead, what you want to do if you are going to be doing a regular combo is to ready your weapon, do 1 overhead slash, and then go into a fading slash, and that raises up your spirit gauge so quickly, and it also cuts down on the combination where you can get that out much quicker than if you try to do the regular combination that they advise. And one other nice thing about the fade slash combo is that you don't even need to use the overhead slash if you have a little bit of your meter already built up. You can just go right into the fading slash and then go right into your spirit step slash, into the spirit blade, into the spirit round slash, and that'll get you up without even having to do hardly any other combo. Another method of filling up your spirit gauge involves doing a spirit charge, and this is very useful, especially for those monsters that are moving around a bunch. That way when they come back to you, you're able to get something that's already charged up and ready to go in one hit. So in order to do this, the best way is to get 1 attack going first, and the quickest attack that you have is a thrust. So if you are trying to go into some other type of combination, by going into a thrust and then holding down the right trigger, you can build up your spirit charge, and once that thing is charged up, that's also going to level up your spirit gauge. The easiest way of building up your spirit gauge is actually using Focus Strike. So if you use a Focus Strike and then keep using the right trigger after that, you can actually do a Spirit Blade combo into a Spirit Round Slash, and that'll also raise up your spirit gauge by 2 levels. So the fastest way of building up your spirit gauge involves doing counters, and the first counter that we have is the EI Spirit Slash, which involves using a special sheath and then going right into that counter. So the way you would activate that is by first doing an attack, and the quickest attack is to go into a thrust, then go into your special sheath, and right before that monster attacks, use your EI Spirit Slash and combo that into the Spirit Round Slash, and that'll actually gain you up 2 spirit gauges, assuming that you have enough of the meter filled up. Another counter that you can do is the Foresight Slash, and this will also raise up your spirit gauge by 1. However, I tend to not use this as much because if you do miss with this, it's going to completely lower your spirit gauge down to where you have to build it up again. So one way to do this is just do a regular attack, and right before that monster attacks, use your foresight slash into your spirit round slash, and that'll get you up 1 meter. So now that our spirit gauge is red, we could do our main combination, and the main combination is so easy and simple that it can kind of get boring very fast, but unfortunately, this is the highest damage currently, and that just involves doing a Crimson Slash 1 into a Spirit Blade 1, and you basically just rinse and repeat this combo until your spirit gauge runs out of red. You also can do a Spirit Round Slash combo with a lot of right triggers while you are in this red mode, and if you do this while your spirit gauge is ready to run out, it'll actually regenerate the spirit gauge completely full of red, which is a really nice feature that not too many people know about, and this will allow you to go right back into your main combo with Crimson Slash into the Spirit Blade 1. So remember when I said I don't like to use the Foresight Slash? Well, when we get into the red mode, I kind of like using it because it's much easier to get that dodge in the combination. So after you do an attack, you can do the Foresight Whirl Slash, and this works out very well with our main combination because it's so quick that you can do it right in between a combination, and that'll also regenerate a little bit of your red bar if you manage to follow up and hit with the right trigger. Now, one other move that you're going to have is Helmbreaker, and that involves going into a Spirit Thrust. So what you would do here is do the right trigger with Y. After you do a Spirit Thrust, it's going to launch you up in the air. You can use right trigger and then release it again with another right trigger, and that'll get you a Spirit Release Slash. And that is a very nice damaging move. Unfortunately, it's not going to do more damage than just doing our regular Crimson Slash Spirit Blade combo. And as you can see, our spirit gauge is in white, which means that it dropped us down by 2 levels after we used that Helmbreaker, and that is not good because that gets us out of our red mode and gets us out of our main damaging combo. So as far as when I would like to use Helmbreaker, I generally wait until my spirit gauge is really low and I know there are wounds on the monster. That way I can target those wounds with a focus strike and get my spirit gauge right back into red after I use a Helmbreaker. As far as how you would start the fight in solo mode, you would sneak behind a monster, use a sneak attack, and then go right into a spirit charge. And then once you land that spirit charge, you're ready to go into your special sheath in order to do an EI Spirit Slash in order to counter the monster. And once you continue that combination with the right trigger, your spirit gauge will be in the red mode. After that, we just do our main combo with the Crimson Slash 1 into the Spirit Blade 1. Just keep in mind that this rotation changes drastically in multiplayer because there are a lot of other factors involved. So a lot of times you're just going to be using Focus Strike in order to build your spirit gauge, or you're going to be using your spirit charge and charging that thing up whenever a monster attacks another player. And then you also have your overhead slash into your fading slash combo that gets your spirit blade out quicker in order to get that spirit round slash and get your spirit gauge up that way. So I hope you guys enjoyed my longsword dragon build, and this build was a lot of fun to use with the longsword in particular, simply because the dragon element has such a nice visual effect that I feel like it just suits the longsword so much. So let me know what you think about the video, and thank you for watching till the end, and I will see you guys in the next one.